Okay, so we're good to go. We'll start with this session.
Okay.
Welcome all
I
of
will
you.
first introduce myself. So I'm
Yeah, welcome all
sorry.
of you. Yes, sir, I'll introduce you to them, sir. Welcome all of you. Here we have a special guest today, Shivam Gaur. In the past, he has worked with Amazon and currently he's working with Dunzo. He was also a regionalist finalist for ACM ICPC. So you can ask your questions. First, Sir will be telling his story, and he's a very great part of our Geeks for Geeks community. Last time he was a part of our community as a mock interviewer. So it's great to have you, sir. Over to Shivam, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Saga. Uh, okay. So yeah. So I okay. So I'll again introduce myself basically. So I'm currently working here at Gonzo as a software engineer one. I've been working here for like past 10 months, let's say, and yeah, before that, I was working with Amazon. I was working in Alexa devices team for around like it was my 6 months internship at Amazon. So yeah, my journey is so far so good. So okay, uh, okay. So uh, okay. In interviews, I'll quickly explain what are expected in DSA interviews. So basically, in interviews, they will ask you some DSA based question, and you will have to give solution. It is not required that you will give the optimal solution, but you should at least give some solution. Basically, they want to understand what how you think to try a particular problem when you are yeah, basically they will try to understand uh, how you solve a problem, and even if you are not able to solve that problem completely, there are chances that you might get selected. Okay. So as most of you are from first year, I'm not sure if you will be aware of DSA and all, right?
Yes, sir.
uh, okay. Well, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'll quickly give you a brief introduction what DSA is basically. So you'll be DSA is you'll be basically given a problem statement. That problem statement could be you are given an array and you have to search. You are given an n number of elements, and you are supposed to search a particular x element in that array. So how would you solve that? Could anyone take an initiative and uh, try to uh, try to solve this, and like can you explain how what would be your first approach, like if you are given n number of elements and you are supposed to find element uh, an x element in that. Okay. uh, okay, so first of all, let me clear, this is this is not a your college class, or like let's consider this as a friendly conversation. That would be, yeah, binary search is a okay. So
Linear search.
yeah, linear search. So and can you explain what you'll do? What would be your steps for solving this problem?
In linear search, the we'll take that key element what we want to search in the array,
Okay.
and we will go on comparing each and every element in the array with that. If the match occurs, we will check that it is present in the array. Like that, we will do.
Yeah, right, correct. So this was your initial solution, and though it is not the optimal, like for solving, if, let's say if there are n number of elements, then you'll have to do n number of computations, right? So now the interviewer might ask you how can you optimize this solution. So the answer in this case will be binary search, as Maruti has already given the answer. So yeah, basically that is what interviewer is expecting. So basically he
For
wants,
binary search,
yeah,
it need to be sorted, right?
yeah, correct. So in that, let's say if interview in that case, you will first have to sort the array. If array is not sorted, okay, let me give a variant. Let's say array has only three distinct elements. In that case, do we need to sort the element, or how will you search a particular element? Like let's say if array has only 0, 1 and 2, right? And you are asked that 1 exists in that array or not. Ternary operator, okay, what is ternary operator, Maruti? Okay, okay, so I'll tell you what. So our first basic solution will be the solution that Naveen gave. We'll basically do a linear search, and we'll compare each element and try that this element exists or not. Uh, what optimize can we do? What optimization can be done if there are only three elements? It can be done that we could count each of the elements, as we know that it is there are only three distinct elements, and after counting, we'll check that count of these particular element exist or not, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So basically,
Yes, sir.
Sagar.
Yes, sir. Can you tell me about your experiences at Dunzo and Amazon? Like, how was it? Like, what kind of projects you get there?
Okay, I'll try to explain, but I guess like most of them are from first year, so they'll not be able to understand the words. That's why. Okay, let's try to generalize. Okay, so basically, currently I've been working in partner backend allocation team. Basically, what our team does, they handle all stuff related to. Uh, okay, so before that, you all know what Dunzo is, right? Okay, let me intro. So Dunzo basically handles all hyper local delivery within a particular city. So what do I mean by hyper local delivery? Let's say you want to order few stuffs like grocery or fruits from particular store, then you can place that order on Dunzo's app, and we'll deliver that order, will things to your home. Okay. So what our partner backend allocation teams, it basically tries to assign a delivery partner to a particular task such that our total cost. So yeah, by total cost, so total cost will be the total distance a particular partner travels. That would be total cost for us. eventually we want to minimize that distance so that we'll be able to make a better optimize location and yeah, the allocation, and we'll save the cost. Yeah, like papers parcel you can consider. You can it handles all logistics within a city, right? So okay, so this what my team does. So I've been part of a project batching. So what it will do is it will try to make a batch of more than one tasks in a particular such that the task delivery location is within like 6 kilometers. So all the drops are within a 2 kilometer radius of 2 kilometer. So that way, we will basically save the cost by all batching all those tasks into one task. So that's what currently I've been working on. Okay. Yeah. Any questions? Like, should I explain in detail batching and allocation?
Yes, sir. Like in Amazon, sir, how was your experience as an intern?
Okay. Amazon. Okay. In Amazon, I was basically part of Alexa devices team, and my project was basically to develop an internal. Uh, it is a quite complex to explain that, but I'll try to explain. I'll try to explain in an easy language. So basically, what happens is, Alexa devices, right? The Echo or Echo 8 and different devices that Alexa has. So in those devices, they have different apps. Like they have an app for settings, they have an app for alarm, etc. And each of those app at Amazon, for each of those there is separate team that will manage that will handle those apps basically. So what happens is we want to basically collaborate all those apps into a single system, right? So sometimes what happens is, let's say the alarms app. So each app has a dependency on particular another that they are using. Basically, uh, uh, let's say alarm is using some package to show some UI elements on their app, and each of those package could have multiple versions. So sometimes what happens is, let's say alarm is dependent on a package A that has some X version, and there is some another app, let's call it settings is also dependent on the same app, same package, but with different version. So when we try to collaborate these two app into a single system, it will break basically, because there are multiple versions of the same package in a system. There could be only one version. There could be only one version for each package, right? Or at all else will give a conflict between dependency conflict basically. So what my project was basically, it was to automate this thing and to automate this conflict and to resolve this conflict on the hand. So what so how it will help to other teams? So basically, when let's say Alarms app is developing a feature in which they want to use a package A of version 1.2. And so what they do, they will request to my tool that hey, I want to I'm 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 from this team, I'm from basically Alarms team, and I want to add package A 1.0 in my app, A 1.2 in my app. So will it lead to any conflict or not? And if it will lead to any conflict, uh, I'll get to know before developing that particular feature, right? So yeah, that was my project. I'm pretty sure most of, like, it is difficult to understand. If you have some context of Java packages and all, you'll understand this thing.
Yes, sir.
So yeah.
And One more thing, sir, like how you got into ACM, ICPC, and all that things. Like where we have to start. Suppose we are in first and second year.
Okay. Okay. So if you are in first and second year, I'll suggest for you to try first. I'll suggest you first to try to understand what competitive programming is exactly. So how you can okay. So there is a section in HackerRank that has very basic question. So you can start with those questions, and if you're not able to solve some questions, you can read the editorials or read someone else's solution, and you'll get to understand like what exactly is it from competitive programming. So okay, in competitive programming, basically you'll be given. Can we start with Python? Yeah, yeah, sure. You can start with the Python. Okay, so in competitive programming, what they will give is they will give you some question. They will tell you that this is the input format, and we want we so this is the input, and we want output for this particular input. Output will be basically some function that will solve that problem if you are giving these inputs to that function, right? So in competitive programming, basically you will have to write that function logic. Okay. uh, yeah, so that's how you can start with competitive programming. My suggestion would be start with HackerRank first and understand try try 10 to 20 some simple questions, and after that you can start with CodeChef and Code Forces contest. So CodeChef, I guess they have around 3 monthly contests: long contest, short, and one long and two short. So you'll try to participate in those contests. Yeah, cook off and lunchtime. Yeah, right. So try to participate in those contests, and if it will be uh, like if you're not able to solve some question, like you can always check editorials and check others someone else's solution and try to understand what logic they have actually used. And you can after contest has ended, you can absolve those contests absolve those questions to uh, improve your knowledge of DSA, basically. So yeah, that is how I started with competitive programming. I used to regularly participate in those CodeChef and Code Forces contests, and I used to follow one rule that every time I'll solve at least one question that I was not able to solve during that particular contest. Okay, so so basically this thing is called absolving a question, right? So yeah, that is how you will get to improve your DSA knowledge. You will get to know during Upsol you will get to know different new algorithms, new data structure, and like what are the properties of using that data structure, what are the time complexities, etc. Okay, and so yeah, other than that, so ICPC is basically similar to this contest, but it has a much harder question compared to this. It is a basically international level contest that has three different levels. First one will be on time, in which everyone from the world can participate. Everyone from India can participate, and uh, and if you qualify this online round, then uh, you'll be able to participate in regional round. So there are I guess there are 3 or 4 regionals, and if you are also able to perform if you are able to perform top 10 in any of the regionals, then you'll get to participate in world finals. So yeah, and parties and achieving good rank in ICPC is itself a kind of achievement. So yeah, that is
Yes, brother. Like when we start solving the prerequisite of DSA, somebody has asked, what are the prerequisites to learn DSA?
okay. So I'll say there is no such prerequisite. Like you can start directly right now. So prerequisite of DSA will be if like all of these, first of all of these things applies if you are in first or second year, right? If you are in third or fourth year, you don't have much time to participate in those contests and all. Basically you in your third and fourth year you'll have to prepare for your interviews. So all the suggestions that I'm right now giving would be mostly applicable for first year and second year. Okay, so as prerequisites, basically there is no such prerequisite. You can start right away. You just have to understand what exactly is competitive programming, and you can start right away. The thing is, to improve in DSA, you always have to uh, learn learn new topics. Like by new topics, you can do this by solving the question like I suggested. Let's say in a contest, there was a question on binary search, but when you are participating in the contest, you didn't know about binary search. You only knew that we can only search using linear search. So basically you are not able to solve that question during the contest. So what would my approach would be? To basically check after contest ends, I'll check the editorial, and in that editorial they'll say that we'll be using binary search for solving this question. So as at that point I'm not aware of what binary search is, I'll read about binary search on different sites, like what exactly binary search and how exactly it works. So that's how you improve. Yeah. I can't read my lesson. I have to refer someone such a. Is this? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Is this? This is issue with all the beginners, but you have to understand whenever you are checking someone, whenever you are referring someone else's solution, you have to understand what exactly logic or what exactly algorithm that person has used to solve the question. If you're just checking the solution, yes, he has done this step, and you are just copy pasting that same solution and not understanding what exactly the solution was, then it's of no use basically. But yeah, it's totally right. It's totally normal to check refer someone else solution to understand the problem. Yeah. How will you sort these things according to priority, development, ESA, computer, hackathons, and a conference? Okay. So, so this thing will change based on the uh, engineering year you are currently in, right? If you are in if you are in third or fourth year, and you don't have any experience in, let's say, development or competitive programming and all, so I'll suggest to understand the basic DSA. Like you are able to solve at least basic interview questions that are asked in the normal interviews, and after that I'll suggest to do more with development, like to have one or two good projects, so that yeah, to have one or two good projects so that you can explain those projects in your interviews. Like it should not happen that in interviewer asks you that what are the projects at your work, and you are not able to give answer, right? So that's why I'm saying that you should be uh, like there should be balance between both things, competitive and development. If you're in third and fourth year, if you are in first or second year, I'll suggest to spend your first 2 or 2.5 years in competitive programming. Like also there's that will change based on person to person. Like if you really enjoy solving competitive problems and all, then okay. So to generalize, what I'll suggest that if you're in first year or second year, try competitive programming for 2 3 months, and also try development. And if then after, choose your path, basically what you want to more work on, competitive programming or development. But at the time of fourth year, you should be decent in both of these. I mean, development and competitive programming, because these both topics will be asked to you in your interviews. So yeah. uh, yeah, did I answer that, Maruti? Or
Sir, what are the preparations for internship?
what are the
Preparations.
preparation? Okay, so in internships, basically, they will mostly focus on your competitive skills, basically problem solving skills. So if you are preparing for internships, and you have, let's say, only 2 to 3 months left, then I'll suggest you to solve lead code questions from lead code and GFG. So that basically your problem solving skills will be improved by the time you will be having your interviews for internships.
Or only competitive program is enough, or should I need to do some projects?
So for most of the internships, they will focus only on your problem solving skills. But in some rare cases, okay. So to be in safe side, I'll suggest you to have one project, and other than that, be good at competitive programming. So if you have one project, and the by by rare chance, interview asks you about your development, then you can show that project, and explain what exactly you solved, and how exactly you solved, and what was the project about, etc.
Thank you.
Start with okay, is a topic like blockchain and data mining. Yeah, I mean, okay. So Wrinkle, you are in like first year, or in your pre-final or final years?
She's from first year, sir.
So okay, so if you are in first year, like I suggested, like that I'll suggest you to start first with basic development, and because this blockchain and data mining things are a complex technology, basically. So if you are able to understand some basic like if you are able to do some basic development, like some web project or something like that, then it would be easy to understand this blockchain and all in the longer run. Yeah. Which has more weightage, project of our own or internships? Okay. uh, okay, so in internships, basically they also give you okay, let's take it this way. uh, if if you're not able, so in interview for full time employees, they need some, they yeah, they need at least one good project in which you are basically able to answer each and every question that the interviewer will ask. So for this good project, either you can have your own project, or if, but let's say for some reason you're not able to get some good project, like for my case. So in that case, you should apply for internships. So in internships, they will give you some good projects that you can explain in the interviews. So both has equal weightage, unless, but you should be able to answer each and every question the interviewer might ask for that particular project or internship. Yeah. Also, for your own project, I'll suggest you to do this in a group project. Because basically, if you're having one group project, it showcases that you are ready to work in a team. So yeah, yeah. For internship at Amazon. Okay. Uh, okay. So how I got it? Yeah. So I have uh, I have my seniors, or let's say I have my friends in Amazon. So I asked them to refer me for internship, and so yeah, that's how I was able to get an opportunity to interview at Amazon. So at Amazon, so the process for internship is they basically first they have an online round in which they'll ask you 2 to 3 DSA based question and 10 to 20 MCQs. After that, there will be 2 technical rounds. So for internships, this technical round will be pure DSA based. And once you are able to clear those rounds, yeah, basically, yeah, you have the offer. It's on new language like VR or extensive high level language. Frankly, I have not much context of these languages, so I don't think I'll be the right person to answer this question.
Yes, sir. One second, sir. Yes, sir. Can you give one question, sir? If somebody can solve it,
Which question? I think
how they discuss in an interview, like with the brute force and all such things. So if you give an example, it
uh,
will be nice.
sorry. Sorry, Sagar, I was not able to understand. Can you repeat?
Yes, sir. Can you give an example, sir, if one question is asked in an interview, uh, and how did they
Okay.
explain it on whiteboard and all such things, the logic, with the brute
Okay.
force
Okay.
approach and the next approaches.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh, okay. So, I don't remember exactly. Uh, 1 second. Just a second.
So should I share the link of the? I have a sheet, sir, like a doc ready.
Yeah. Sorry, I had some emergency. Yeah. You were saying something, Sagar?
Yes, sir. Like, give them an example, sir. Like, what kind of question? How one has to explain the question in the interview with one typical
Okay.
example.
Okay.
I have shared the document, sir, in the link.
Okay. Let's say you are given a list of. Right, good question. Okay. Let's say a company has hired n people. Company has hired n people, and uh, yeah, they are hiring people. And this company has two offices. One office in Bangalore, one office. It has two offices, one in Bangalore and one in Pune. Right. Now they want to. So basically, whenever a person is allocated a office, company has to basically reimburse him this company has to give him the relocation bonus, right? So let's say for and this relocation cost will be the flight cost and etc. So let's say company has calculated this cost for each of these n people, and cost for relocating ith person to Pune is stored in Pune of I, and cost of relocating ith person to Bangalore is stored in array Bangalore, right? Now, what the question is, they want to split these n peoples into two groups, into two equal groups. That is, Pune will have n by two people, and Bangalore will have n by two people, right? Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, basically this company has to split this n people into two groups such that first n by two people are to be relocated to Pune, and other n by two people are to be relocated to Bangalore. But the condition is company wants to minimize the total cost of relocating, right? So let's say there are two persons, and for Pune they have Pune first person cost is 100, and second person cost is 20. For Bangalore for Bangalore, let's say first person's cost is 20 and second person's cost is 50. So can someone tell me what will be the optimal allocation? Okay. So basically, let's say if I'm allocating first person to Pune and second person to Bangalore, this is my one possible solution. First possible solution will be uh, allocate first to Pune, second to Bangalore. So the cost it will be 100 plus 50. And second possible solution is allocate allocate first to Bangalore, and second to Pune. Into Pune. So it will be 20 plus 20. So as I can see, the second solution is more optimal for the company because they'll have to pay only 40 rupees in total, right? So you have to, so basically you will be given these two arrays and you will have to return what is the minimum cost that company will have to spend. Okay. Can someone try like what so okay. I'll tell you what is the approach while solving any DSA question. So first you have to understand what exactly a question is. So how you can understand? You can take some random examples and try to solve them using brute force. Like I mean, for this particular question, I took this example, and my brute force was basically these two possible solutions. In that way, you'll basically understand what exactly the question is, right? And once you're able to understand the question, try to solve it using brute force through code, like like explain the interviewer what will be the brute force logic for this. And once interviewer is satisfied that okay, this works, you will have to tell him what will be the time complexity for this solution. So time complexity is basically a parameter by which you can denote how much time your solution will take if it has n n number of if it has an input of size n, right? Then once you explain the brute force approach, you will have to optimize your solution and explain the optimized solution to the interviewer basically, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the flow. And at last, when interviewer agrees that yeah, this solution works, at that time you will have to think for corner cases, like uh, in which type of inputs your solution will fail, and you'll have to handle those corner cases. So okay, let's try to solve this solution. So can anyone explain what will be the your brute force logic to solve this question? Okay, okay. Uh, Everyone must be aware of binary representation of a number, right? Okay, cool. So let's think this in a way that we will create a binary string of length n such that 0 denotes that I'm allocating this person to Pune, and 1 denotes that I'm allocating this person to Bangalore, right? And also there should be condition that there will be always equal number of zeros and one in this binary string. So that basically we are saying that we have distributed n peoples in equal way, right? So our basic brute force solution would be to calculate all these possible binary strings for the given n. So let's say for this example, one possible binary string will be 0, 1. That is, I'm allocating first person to Pune, second to Bangalore. That will give me cost of 150, and another possible binary string will be 10, that will give me cost of 40. So basically my solution would be to generate all possible valid binary strings of length n, and select the binary string which has minimal cost, right? uh, this was clear, or like any questions in this approach? Okay. So you all are able to understand what I'm doing, right? Basically, I'm trying every possible combination of solving this,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay. So this was my one possible solution. Can someone explain what will be the time complexity for this solution? Uh, okay. So okay. So basically, what we are doing is we are
Is it
calculating
often?
all possible. Sorry.
Is it often? Big often.
How can you explain how it will be off? And
We can implement it using for loop.
yeah, yeah, okay, but we want to generate all possible binary strings of length n, right?
Yes, sir.
So okay, let's see. Uh, let's say I've given you n, and I want to calculate binary for this number. What will be the complexity for that? It will be log n, right? Basically, you'll every time you'll divide number by two, and if it is divisible by two, then you'll add
Okay,
zero.
sir.
Else you'll add one. In that way, you'll get the binary string for n,
Yes,
right?
sir. We'll be dividing it and
Okay.
okay.
So yeah, so it will be basically log n, and for a given n, for a given binary string of length n, uh, there are not given. Okay, for so basically there are 2 raised to n numbers, 2 raised to n numbers that will have a binary string of length n, right? uh, okay, okay. uh, let's see how I can explain this. Okay, let's say you have a binary string of length 4, right? Basically, so you have 4 places to fill, and each place can have two values, that is either 0 or 1, right? So the total number of total number of possible total number of strings that you can make will be uh, 2 2 raised to 4, right? Because at each position you have two possible values to fill, and there are in total 4 positions, right? I mean, if you're not able to understand, please ask the question. I'll explain this. Okay, you're not familiar with time complexity. Okay, okay. uh, so it's it's difficult to understand. Uh, okay, sure. Okay. Uh, so okay,
Yes, sir.
I'll
One second, sir.
quickly
Okay, sure.
yeah.
I'll send you some videos related to time complexity. You can watch them. They're on YouTube.
Also, Sagar, I think it would be difficult for most of the people to understand if they are
Yes.
in first or second.
And they have to do some examples also, sir. There is Abdul Bari for some basic questions.
Uh, okay, some basic questions like
It is different, sir. Like for
okay,
loop, for if, what are the conditions? You have to know.
uh, okay, maybe yeah. As we are over the time. Like I'll suggest we can have another session maybe.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
And before that I'll I'll suggest to read what are the time complexity, and after that like we can have these interview examples or basic questions.
Yes, sir.
Also by that time I also prepare like so what are the basic questions that can be asked. Like currently I don't have any such resource from which I can give you the example. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And let's schedule it on next Sunday, sir. Are you free in the upcoming Sunday?
Next Sunday is 16th. Yeah, sure, sure.
Yes, same time. And yes, sir. We'll basically
Yeah. Works for me.
we'll work on time complexity and all such things, and a few questions on hacker rank. Basic.
Yeah. That would be okay.
Yes.
That would be helpful.
Yes. Thanks a lot for joining us, sir.
Yeah, sure. Thanks everyone. If you have any other questions, feel free to ping me on LinkedIn, or you can have my number from Sagar. Right?
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Cool.
And yeah, we'll be having another session on next Sunday.
Sure.
We'll end this meeting here, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks all.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Stay safe and take care.